Hi y'all. I'm back. Yes, I'm in my bathroom. As promised, I said I would go live and talk about the plagues of Egypt. Are they similar to what's going on today? Are they upon us? Let's break them down. Let's talk about it. Let's decode it, whatever. So, plagues of Egypt, huh? Let's start off. I'm going to let a few more people come in and then we'll start off with the plagues of Egypt. Yep, I'm in my bathroom again. Okay, I think we can start. So the first plague was water to blood. Okay, remember also, this was one of the miracles that Jesus also did in the Bible: water into wine, water into blood. This was not speaking about actual water, because it says, I will strike the water of the Nile and it will be changed into blood. The fish in the Nile will die and the river will stink and the Egyptians will not be able to drink its water. Okay, so this represents, so the Nile, it flows north and then it flows, northern. So I will strike the water of the Nile and it will be changed into blood. So which way does blood flow? Okay. Think about this. So it flows upward, and the fish in the Nile will die. Okay, the fish, if you remember the hand of alchemy, the fish represents the force. So the force in which it used to flow in one direction is gone. And so now it's going to flow this way. So it has nothing to do with the actual water turning into blood. It works like blood, okay, and how it flows. And then it says the river will stink and the Egyptians will not be able to drink its water. So that means, of course, it will become polluted. Okay. Then we have frogs. So this is talking about modern time. Then there's frogs. Okay, so if you research frogs, you see what they mean symbolically, as well as what they also have on them. Frogs have mucus on them. And on this actual example in the Bible, frogs represent a germ or a mucus causing germ. So that could also be an illness. So it says the Nile will teem with frogs. So the current or the Nile represents the current or a river. Anytime they mention a river, it's a current and it means something that flows. So it can also represent, if you ever look at your lungs, you see the pathways that go to your bronchial tubes. They look like the river. Okay, so frogs represent mucus. It also represents creation. It also represents first matter. And so if you go into that, it talks about frogs coming out of your ovens, your kneading troughs. Frogs will go up on you and your people. They will come up in your place, in your bedroom, into your bed. So this is something that can pretty much get anywhere. So it is a germ, okay? A germ created from first matter, from source, so a germ. Then we go to lice or gnats. Lice are bugs and gnats. The rod was stretched out to smite the dust of the land. Okay, y'all know what the dust of the land would represent. To smite something is to kind of like curse it or to knock it down. So when you think about the creation of man, what was man created with? Dirt, dust, okay. And that it become lice throughout all the land of Egypt. So to smite the dust of the land so that it will become like lice throughout the land of Egypt. So that means a parasite, right? So the land of Egypt was also Africa, or the land of Egypt is also wherever um, these people are that are being held and persecuted and oppressed. So Egypt could also represent any land of that sort. So it will become like a parasite or a botheration that will come upon man and animals. And all the dust throughout the land of Egypt became lice. So this represents people stopped seeing them as, men, but see them more as parasites, or this could represent a government or a system. You see, so all y'all want is my tax money. Y'all just lying to us. Da 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 da. So a lice is a parasite. Okay. Um, so this represents like how people feel like they're in the matrix and being used and are slaves because of the system. So the lice would represent like a system or a government or a people who want to exploit others. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go to the wild animals or flies. Okay. Here's another one. The fourth plague was creatures capable of harming people and livestock. A mixture or a swarm that came against the Egyptians and did not affect the Israel. And it affected livestock. So it has to do with eating meat and people who ate meat and people who didn't eat meat. So the fourth type was the wild animal or the flies. Flies would represent a swarm or a disease or pestilence. And then the wild animals would represent things that are not cannot be contained. So this could also represent a disease. And then it goes into the pestilence of livestock again. So the livestock will get diseased, and a lot of these plants, meat plants, are closing down because they are also diseased as well. Okay, so then you have boils, which was the sixth plague, I think. Okay, the boils represent sores. Okay, so it says a handful of soot was taken from a furnace. Okay. Now we have to think about the earth. What would be a furnace in the earth? Could be a volcano, could be the core. And it was tossed into the air. Okay. It sounds like volcano smoke, volcano activity. It could be something coming out of the South Pole. It could be any of that, right? Um, could also be something from the cosmos, from a comet, from Venus. It could be something coming over as dust into the um, atmosphere, into the air. And it also says a fine dust over the whole land of Egypt. And festering boils will break out onto men, animals throughout the land. So boils are also sores. It could be allergies. It could be something that is some type of, and also a sore also means something that cannot heal. Okay. And so this could also mean a dust could also mean a layer or an atmosphere that has fallen over the land, which then allowed people to be able to live without um, being hurt or burned by the sun, because a long time ago that veil didn't used to be there. So it could also represent a veil being taken off and then sores coming, like skin cancer. Okay. Then we have locusts. Okay, so locusts can mean two things as well or more. Locusts can mean an invasion and a takeover from a distant or foreign land. It could also represent um, like a lot of like people coming in from foreign lands into another land, like immigrants. It could also mean, and that's what we're kind of also hearing a lot from Trump is he's trying to keep people out of the United States, da 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 da. Plus, there's been grasshoppers, which is also interchangeable with the locusts and the biblical text. So there's been some in Vegas next to the Luxor pyramid. There's some in Africa in the last 6 months. So that can also represent People coming in to take away from the other ones that have had their stock or plants or fields or whatever being taken from them. So a lot of people feel like, oh, y'all are taking our jobs, or oh, people are doing this, and so that could also represent that. Okay, so did I skip one? Okay, darkness for 3 days. So this could represent um, an eclipse. This could represent coverage of the sun, not being able to see the sun. So this could mean so many things. This could also mean um, like 3 days could not really mean days, but it could mean months. This could also be the lockdown or the separation. It could days could mean weeks. It could be weeks, months. So I feel like this could be something like darkness, meaning not knowing what's really going on, like darkness of the mind, like ignorance. Like you don't know what's really going on because you're being lied to for 3 months. You know how a lot of people will say this is a distraction because all these play in together. All these go together. They're not separate. They all go together. Okay. So then the last was death of the firstborn, which is the older generations. So, of course, whatever disease or pestilence that is in the atmosphere that's affecting the cattle, it says it will take the firstborn of the slave girl, then the firstborn of the cattle as well, and worse, it will be taking the firstborn son. So this means it's taking the older generations because they have the lower immune system, obviously. So the plagues of Egypt are exactly the same thing that's kind of happening now, except they are metaphor for a germ, a covering up of a lie, and a almost a hostage situation, you know. And if you realize what happened in the story of Moses, that it was going to keep getting worse until um, Moses got what he wanted, which was to free his people. So it was not going to stop until that happens. So this means that there's something at stake, which is probably something very financial, I believe, that's being held hostage. And if the government or the powers that think they still are don't let go of, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So I feel that that's kind of where we're at right now. And we'll see. But I just wanted to break it down real quick. Um, and I'm sure there's so much more to it. I just want to do it real quick because I promised and I didn't want to like have y'all waiting a whole week. But I could have broken it down in much more detail, and y'all are welcome to do that in the comments. I just want to show you that a lot of these things are the same thing, and talking about the present as well as probably the past. And remember, if something is written from a ninth dimensional perspective, there is no time, and time repeats itself and it's in a loop anyway. So you can kind of see that happening once again. Right. They're talking about canceling mortgages and rent. They should. I know I manifested. I don't want to pay no more taxes ever. I don't want to. Please get that too while you at it. um, you said it backfired on the hospitals. They're losing money. Nurses getting laid off, and no one going to hospitals. That's so true. People are figuring out how to heal themselves, or home remedies and whatnot, because like most people used to go to the hospital for no reason at all. Oh, I don't feel good today. I got a headache. Da, 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 da. you know, they have to look up them home remedies. Ooh, peppermint oil? That's it. Um, there's still some people throughout this whole thing who still haven't woken up. It's like, seriously. It's like, seriously? And they gotten deeper into the believing, like, in everything. Someone sent me a video, and they said there was a microphone left on in the conference room of the White House or something, where I don't know what it's called, but where they do the conferences or whatever, to address the nation. And they were saying that the coronavirus was not as widespread as that they were saying it was, and it was much lower, and blah 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 blah. They didn't know the mic was on, and so it's probably floating around on Instagram. Mhm. It says you what YouTube said, if you talk about with our videos, we will be taken down. I don't care. I don't put it in my title, and I don't say what it is or whatever. Plus my stuff is under comedy anyway. So I don't really care. The point is, people are going to figure it out. Hopefully, people will figure it out. More people will figure it out and teach the others. Then it's kind of sad because a lot of people are just so asleep. You can't wake them up if you hit them in the head. And it's just like, oh my gosh. I don't want to insult your intelligence, but dang, you stupid. But anyway, I don't say that. I just, okay, keep it moving. Did you see that Daily Mail website? Some Chinese doctors turned dark skin, calling it kidney failure. They was trying to last hope, huh? Didn't work out. The pandemic made crude oil petroleum go down to negative. It's worthless. Interesting. I'm glad I didn't invest in oil. Mm. And if you've been on this channel for a while, I've talked about how they're going to probably have to try to introduce something like slowly into the system in order to replace oil. And I think this was like a test run to see, you know, maybe they can introduce electric cars or water cars or something like that, because people aren't going to be able to. And they saw how clear the skies were, A, B, C, and D. So people are going to start talking and coming up with interesting ideas that they should have been doing a long time ago anyway. Mhm. Right. Mhm. Um, I really don't. It doesn't really matter anymore. I think it is what it is, and if however you feel, who you need to be, who you need to become, where you need to go, what you need to learn. I mean, if you have a feeling that's pulling you towards something, I think maybe you should listen to it right now. So, a lot of people need to do their own research to know thyself, to figure out what's really going on. Mhm. Um, Not all the countries in the world are going to shift, like, into something different, like ours probably will. Because as you know, if you some countries seem like they're 10 years behind us, some seem like they're 10 years ahead of us. So, not everyone is going to get the same thing at the same time. Hmm. Thank you. Why do they want us to write? I don't think people want you to write or protest. Hey, Sasha.
Can I borrow your phone?
Yeah, go ahead. You might need to charge it. I don't think people want you to riot or protest. That's up to people who think that makes a difference. You know, I don't think rioting and protesting makes a difference. I think money makes a difference. Where your money goes is where people pay attention. Okay, the most watched things are probably the stock market and the sky. So, people can go make a fool out of themselves and march around and do some stuff, but it doesn't matter if people protest with money. That gets more and more attention. People change faster when you protest with money. You see. Um, Thank you, Anaya. What will white people die of because lack of melanin? I don't know. I feel that right now it's about health as well as immune system, as well as this summer. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be very hot, probably hotter than last summer. Probably going to be a lot of heat strokes and deaths of heat strokes and things like that in places where there was not prior. So in time, I think that people will adapt to the heat or not adapt to the heat. And I think when that all happens, then whoever is able to adapt to certain climate changes will probably remain. You know, hmm you're starting a vegetable garden and a medicinal garden in your backyard. Cool, that's great. See, I don't have any trees in my backyard, so I think all mine will burn if I did it. I probably have to do it because I live in like a new construction, new neighborhood, and they don't have any trees. But have fun in your garden. hmm What? Where do you see the world in 2 years from now? On repeat if people don't wake up on the same thing on a repeat. Um, I think it's kind of like playing itself out, and it will cycle and cycle and cycle until the people who are aware and then the people who are unaware get cycled out. It's kind of like a cycle. I feel like in 2 more years, I'm sure we'll have something similar to this again. And this was like the little small version of it. And so the next version of it will probably be more severe and affect organs, major organs like kidneys. So like I said, people need to really change their diets. If they didn't learn from this one, they're definitely gonna learn from the next one. Because remember in the firstborn will be dead, plague of the Egyptian plagues, they said the firstborn of the sons, so that represents the men, and then they're gonna get the women. Um, and then they're gonna get the animals. So um this represents no one is and it always revolves around the animals, you see. And even in the ancient days it always revolved around animals. So but then it always says, oh, but then the people of Israel or God's people didn't get it, they weren't touched. So if you think about their diets, if you think about the foods that they ate or didn't eat, it's for a reason. Okay, so they probably didn't get the same types of food that others got. Okay. Oh, I already decoded the dove. It's a spirit looking for a body. The ark is in the sky, which is a covering over the earth in which spirits reside. The dove was a spirit going to look for a body to inhabit upon the earth. Um, and the olive branch tree represented a melanated body. The branch of an olive tree. Right. Hmm. Meat packing plants have been compromised. Yeah, I told y'all. Y'all, they're gonna take away y'all's meat so y'all don't get got. Why is everyone happy? Because they don't, because they know who wins. It's not like, here's the thing. If you read ancient texts, if you know stuff, if you understand all the things that have to happen first in order for something to happen afterwards, you understand it's all for the greater good. People are scared who don't know anything about what's happening. People aren't scared who know how to decode and that all this has to be done. So, it's not anything to be afraid of. I think people just don't understand that this has already happened before and it's going to probably happen again. And we're just living in this time right now. So, how do you think they felt back in the old days when stuff was happening? Oh, we're being cursed. Oh, we got the plagues on us. Okay. Well, the plagues were to teach and to hold people hostage until one did right. Right. So if there's a power that has the ability to do this, well, don't you think they should? I mean, unless you want the world to get worse and worse, something got to be done. Hmm. Oh, because you mark your door with lamb blood. Mhm. Yeah, that just means get melanin. No. So, I don't think I don't think people should be afraid. I think they should just get healthy and get knowledge, get knowledge. Thank you so much for getting everyone in line and getting back to the deeper knowledge. Oh, thank you, Bitty Pie, Sprinkle Sprinkle. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Lamb blood won't stop the corona. Lamb blood just means melanin, and a door represents, your body, the door of your house, the entry of your house. So, yeah, we already talked about that. Your diet is a very big, important part of how you will or won't catch diseases. Hmm. Would I help poor people or focus on self growth? Hmm. Well, I'm not to that point in my life yet where I want to help people that didn't listen in the first place and and understand the signs, even though they were told over and over. I'm about helping those who help themselves. You know what I'm saying? So, the government who created poverty can help poor people, because there's a reason why they're poor. They've been slaves of the system. So the system needs to bail them out. That's why those checks are going out. That's why they're doing all the mortgage, oh, y'all don't have to pay this month because they already know that they're owed that. Those people are owed that. And their hand is being forced to pay these people and hold their bills back and stuff. Because y'all know that they probably wouldn't have done that if they weren't doing it by force, if it wasn't being done by force. Okay. Y'all would have had to wait months. So I feel that the government is having to pay people because they've been taking for so long. But I do feel that helping people is good. And I believe in teaching people, not giving to people. Because if you think about it, even in the Bible, Jesus didn't go around giving to the poor, he went around teaching. So knowledge is worth more. than gold because it can teach you how to get abundance for the rest of your life. That's why I wrote my book, How to Do What You Love. It's on Amazon, and I'll try to link it below when I get off. But I believe that teaching people how to think will take them out of poverty mind forever. hmm So I would rather them learn. Mhm. Elites are still taking over the world. Okay, well that's nice. That's not my world. We might live in different worlds. They're not taking over my world. And see, y'all got to get out of that mindset too. And I don't know if you're a troll or not, but like y'all just got to get out of that mindset. Like seriously, they only can control certain people, not everybody. Not your world is not my world. You know, there's some people whose world seems like it's ending right now, and some people who feel like their world is just beginning and they're happy. So we don't live in the same world. Y'all have to understand. We don't live. We might we might talk to each other on here, but we don't live in the same world. Okay, we don't think the same. We're not on the same frequency. That means we are not in the same world. So maybe your world that's happening, but my world, I'm good. So get into the correct world, which means get on the right frequency, which means start thinking different. You said your world is getting litty. Right. Get out of fear. Stop being afraid. Fear is what makes you go in a downward spiral. Stop being afraid of everything. Right. Mhm. By thinking about what you want and taking steps towards it. That's it. Because y'all, like, some of y'all are just so paranoid and full of anxiety and scared for everything. That's why bad things happen a lot in your presence because, you know, that's what you're vibrating. Just stop being afraid and start looking for the positive. Whatever happens, just look for the positive. hmm What should the woke be prepared for? Abundance, money, long overdue recognition. Because if you're woke, there's nothing to worry about. You know, you're already good. Now, let's see, people's definition of woke is very different. Like, what is woke to you? You can't be woke. You can't be, not everybody's going to be 100% woke for anything, but you can't still say, "Oh, I'm woke," but then go to work and work for somebody and depend on that. Woke means you have your own way to get money. You don't need them. You know, knowing that and not, acting upon it, you know, that's what you need to be warned about. Because I see a lot of people, they thought, "Oh, my job's going to take care of me. I have a degree. I make a lot of money," but now they're laid off, and now they have to go back into the workforce and compete to get the same job or a similar job all over again at the same time as everyone else. You know, and mm, it put everyone on a level playing field. I think, and I think that people need to realize, if this happens again, how many times are they going to keep laying off and hiring people before they ship all the jobs overseas or make some robots so they don't have to worry about these people that can get diseases? So I'd worry about that. I'd worry about starting my own stuff, and I keep telling people to do that. But no one really listens to that because they don't think it's possible, which is why I wrote my book. It is very easy, it's very possible, it's straightforward to the point, and how to get started with little of nothing. And I think I don't want this video to turn into that, but I think having your own mind also means having your own way to prosper. Right. Hmm. Fear is a sickness. It is. It will crawl into your soul. Yep, it sure will. You ever notice that the people who fear the most or the most paranoid or afraid, they're always sick. Something always wrong with them. They got issues. And mhm. Corinne, JoJo, we're not like a fear-based channel. We don't care about any of that. So you're not gonna force anybody to do anything. They don't have to listen, y'all. They don't have to force people to do something. Dumb idiots who are still asleep will line up for a free vaccine. They have to do nothing. So, if you need a vaccine to go work for somebody and you don't know any other way to get money, yes, you might line up for a vaccine. Like I said, someone asked me, what should the woke people know? How to be self sufficient. So, I don't know. Am I still live? Woke is rising. Well, I don't see the feed going anymore. I'm probably still live. I don't know. I didn't want this to be a long video anyway. I want it to just be about the plague. So I'm going to end it here. But just remember, make sure you work on having an income that you create without depending on a job. That is what the next thing y'all need to be working on, as well as your health. Okay. So I'm gonna see y'all later. Thank y'all for watching.